So, hello everyone, and today we have a great event. I guess we will wait a few minutes till everyone will join us. Today, I think that is so important webinar on now, yeah, because we
Yeah.
just catch this chance to be prepared for the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and with the Chelsea, we will speak a lot about the inventory, how to do that right, and how to work together. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the inventory team and the PPC team. So Chelsea, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for this cool collaboration that we have.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this, especially, we have a concept called inventory-minded marketing. Yeah, we don't talk about the marketing side. There's a lot of people that talk about the marketing side, so we stay on the inventory side of things, but it's good for inventory and marketing to have that conversation because it's important for them in your own business to be having that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And that's why we have this topic, the scanning of PPC and inventory management to scale your FBA business. Because I think that is two important topics that you should work together. You should catch this team or do all these activities so transparent in a case, so how that will work for you and what is your next plans to do. Yeah, and Chelsea, I would be so glad if you will start with like this main meaning, like why do we have this conversation today?
Yeah. I think this conversation is actually more important now than ever before. Obviously, we're all trying to grapple with the change that hit Amazon on April 22nd, which was actually not even announced. We couldn't even prepare for it because they announced it and they said, this has happened already. So usually we have an announcement with, Brexit. We had, months of planning that we were able to do and put into making those changes. But this kind of hit everyone like a ton of bricks and right before Prime Day. But what it essentially did, it was very important for marketing. I've talked to hundreds of sellers, myself, I'm a seller, but I've talked to hundreds of sellers in building out the SoStocked tool. And a big thing that we located as a hidden Achilles heel to stocking out was the fact that people would do marketing, but they wouldn't plan that marketing far enough in advance. This is marketing that they would do. They would try a new tactic, or they would, do a sale kind of on a whim because, oh, Mother's Day. Oh yeah, I should do something. And wouldn't have planned for that 3 months ago when they placed that inventory order. So they would cause stockouts. Wouldn't even plan, the inventory side of things when they started. So that became a big common denominator, a reason that people were having a hard time scaling because they stock out because they're not doing that planning. And now that we have these restock limits, it's even more difficult. And it's not just the stocking out, it's actually the overstocking that marketers have to now grapple with. It's now their responsibility to move that slow moving inventory as well.
Absolutely agree with you because we have the same situation from the marketing side. I mean, that is so dangerous when you go out of stock that you don't plan to do. And a lot of FBA sellers, they want, for example, they came to us and they like want to double or triple their sales. And how could I do that? And the first thing that we do and analyze, what about your inventory? It's okay for your cash flow for the next like 3 or 6 months or like next year to increase number of units that we will have and that we will use, yeah, for scaling you. How you will work with that. So it's so important to build your marketing strategy on the beginning, to plan your activities, to make maybe some predictions, yeah, for the short term and the next like 3 months, for example, to catch like these points of what should I do with the inventory? Like, how should I do that?
Yeah.
And could you please tell me more about the inventory management? Like, what is that? Could you please clarify it, I guess? Because a lot of people, they just know about that. And I guess the SoStock is so unique because you speak, I guess you speak only about that.
Yeah. In terms of inventory management, I mean, the first thing is you have to have visibility. And that is one of the things that people come to us having a problem with is, I want to be able to know where my stuff is. I want to know, as we all have to have warehouses now, and that's just, a fact of life. Amazon is forcing us to have external warehouses if we are going to be able to continue to run our businesses. Well, if you've got, inventory sitting in China, and you've got inventory in production, with multiple suppliers, and you've got, inventory sitting at your third-party warehouse in Europe, and then there's inventory in the US, and then what's at FBA in the various different marketplaces, all of a sudden, it becomes very difficult because, sometimes some people are running off of the data that's being given to them by their warehouse, and they have to ask their warehouse, sometimes to do a count, and they're not even keeping track. They're just relying on a warehouse to know how much inventory they have. And so they may think in their head that they have a certain amount, and then the warehouse says, no, you actually moved that amount. So the tracking is the first thing, knowing your numbers. And then the other side of it is, when do I place my orders? When do I place my transfers based on what Amazon's going to allow me to do? And having that cushion, especially now that all of the lead times for production and for shipping are much longer. How do I structure things so that I can actually afford to continue placing those orders and having enough stock on hand to keep things supplied? So that's kind of the art and science of inventory management. And a lot of the time when people have gotten into trouble, people say, oh, I tried a software, it didn't work for me. I went back to spreadsheets. That was really the initial impetus for starting SoStock. It was like, if we can do it on a spreadsheet, why can't we do it in a software? And so that was when I realized that algorithms don't work the way that you think they're going to work. They're just looking at past data. They don't know what your plans are, and your plans are the marketing side of things. And so that's why inventory and marketing need to be so coordinated, and that is a big difference in what we did with SoStock. And what I tell people to do, even in their own spreadsheets, is that you need to put your marketing plans in, and well in advance. 3 to 6 months in advance, you need to be looking at what are your plans, and what is your inventory going to look like, and how is that going to affect your cash flow, and how are you want to handle that.
So what clever inventory management is?
Mm-hmm. Clever inventory management is, well, we refer to it as inventory-minded marketing. It really has come down to two things that I always tell people to do. First, obviously, you have to know visibility. There's some kind of givens. You have to know your sales velocity, and you have to know how much inventory you have. But where it becomes clever marketing is knowing how much buffer stock or safety stock you need, and also putting your marketing plans into your inventory plans. I like to say we've grown up. A lot of people have, e-commerce is their first foray into business, and we've been very marketing focused. We haven't been really focused on the inventory and the cash flow. And now as we grow our businesses, we have to start doing that more and more, especially as Amazon creates these restrictions. So people have to become educated on how to take their marketing plans and test them or vet them against their inventory plans. And if their inventory is not going to support that marketing, no matter how good it is, good marketing turns bad when it stalks you out.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely agree with you. And if we speak in the case of the clever advertising is, so it's some kind of the same in a case of that. You need to visualize all the things that you do and speak more about from the data that you have and about the data that you would like to have, because it's so close to the inventory. Because if we speak more about how many units do you have right now for launching some of the activities, and what is your sales today and during the next week, you could try to build these predictions. And don't forget on how the Amazon algorithms working, because the geo ranking so affects to us. And if you don't have enough inventory, that will not work in the right way. The same in the case of this Amazon attribution window that we have, that Amazon every time every 14 days they recalculate the number of sales that you have, and you should grow for these all indicators, and Amazon will catch that, and maybe you will go higher in the case of the
Yes.
PPC and organic results. And it's so cool that we speak more from the data. I mean, if you will put all like these two graphics together, the inventory one in the case of the orders or the planning of inventory that you would like to have, and the PPC, you will see how they working together. Yeah, you will see how the PPC and organic, they saw effects from the inventory that you have in the case of the amounts. I mean, you shouldn't have like exactly this amount that you would like to sell. Try to keep it more. Yeah, and that is so cool.
Hmm.
So how to, I guess like the main question here is how to synchronize, like these two
Yeah.
teams and these two understanding from the advertising and the
Uh-huh.
inventory, how to work in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I have some things to add, but I would be interested to hear, it sounds like you and your team do that, and you guys have a strategy for doing that. There's a lot of people that don't, so I would be very interested to hear kind of from your perspective what that strategy is, because I have talked to agencies, and one of the questions I ask is, have you ever stocked out a client? And too often I hear yes, because they don't have a system for vetting out the inventory before they pull the trigger on a marketing campaign. So what is it that your team goes through?
It's so we try to work with the clients with like a partners, yeah, because on the
Mhm.
beginning we need a lot of data from their side,
Yeah.
and we need to start from the analyzing all the things that you're what is your plans, what is your inventory plan for the next months, 3 months, and half in a year. If
Hmm.
we will increase your sales in 2 and 3 times or 5 times, will you have a chance to get these sales? Yeah, how that will affect your business, what is like the lifetime value, the lifetime on getting these products to the Amazon, will we have like enough time to produce them? So a lot of things we will face with, and some clients, they will just sometimes they just ask the question like, oh, I didn't think about that, like
Yeah.
really is so it's so will affect me if we
Yeah.
will, for example, do the out of stocks some like 3 times per month. Like, no, that is not
Yeah.
a good idea.
Hmm.
We will just slow down, we will slow down. Yeah, we will try to like find out what is the right strategy for you, and we will try to build it in a case of like slowly but truly, and
Hmm.
that's why so it's so important. And I know that you help to build a predictions inside your software, right? So
Yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, in the case of, because this like synchron is more about like what data are you collecting, yeah, for making these recommendations or forecasts.
Yeah. So, yeah, first of all, everyone should know that, you give inventory data. It's good to give inventory data to your PPC agency, but if at the same time you're giving that data and you're not telling them that you are on a whim going to do a coupon sale, or you're also going to be, working on listing optimization. Those are things that they could be planning that, okay, I have all this inventory and I can market this using PPC. But if you're doing other marketing things on the side and you're not informing your marketing team, your PPC agency, especially if they're only doing PPC, sometimes they're doing all of your marketing, but if they're only doing that one thing and you're not letting them know of your other marketing plans, they can be pushing the inventory based on all of that data. So if they've got missing data, that's where things can start to fall apart. So it's important to have the whole picture. And one of the things that we created was a template, and I believe that anyone who signed up on the form is going to be getting any supplemental materials. But the template that we created has all of the different things, and we also have a checklist of what are the different types of things that could increase the sales, that could affect the sales, and sending that whole sheet over to the inventory team to make sure that they're actually accounting for that, lightning deals or planned sales or working with influencers, PPC, listing optimization, any of those things can increase the sales and can lead to a stock out. So those are the things that need to be, packaged up by marketing and delivered to the inventory team.
So that is some kind of like the I know that not you have mentioned the right thing, that not all the PPC agencies, they do and work with the price coupons and all this stuff. We also did it before.
Yeah.
We also did this mistake, because sometimes you believe that client will provide you with only the data, like you will be sure you will have a chance to get all the things, and sometimes that is absolutely affect your way on the management, because sometimes you couldn't catch it if some clients, they have like more than like 10, for example, products.
Yeah.
And from these points, I really like the idea of the marketing plan that will help you to see like all these activities and to catch them like weekly or monthly. That is like awesome. That will help to synchronize these teams. And how to manage the inventory if you have the out of stock.
So there can be out of stock just at Amazon because you've run out of space. And in that case, I always recommend that a person has a backup fulfillment center. So even if you don't plan on using it, it's something that you should have. You should have inventory sitting in a fulfillment center, because the FBA sales actually will help to keep your restock limits. The sales from FBM, they count towards your restock limits. So that is something to keep in mind. And that's something that not everybody knows. So if you just run out of stock at Amazon and you have inventory sitting in a fulfillment center, you can keep that restock limit supported. If you don't have stock, and you're worried that when you do go back in stock, you won't have that restock limit to allow for that inventory, I would say, look at your resources. What is at Amazon or your fulfillment center that you could try marketing, even harder, and try to run flash sales, or try to, in some way move that inventory to potentially increase that restock limit with your other products, because the velocity increase in any product right now, now that we've changed to storage type limits, will affect the overall restock limit rather than it being segmented to, the ASIN level. So we see in some ways the ASIN level versus storage type. In some ways it's been very, very damaging, but in other ways we have a little bit more leeway to try to increase that limit with other resources.
Yeah, and I think that here we have some strategies that you could use in the case of the advertising, because if we go out of stock, sometimes that is really dangerous. Yeah, and we recommend our clients to like double check how to prevent that. In a case of that, maybe you could slow down and everything will be okay, and we will have a chance to return the number of sales. But we have like this attribution window with the Amazon that if you go out of stock, please try to use this like trampoline, or try to use all your resources to go out of stock, and everything will be okay. Please pause all your PPC campaigns and do not do all these activities, because that will not affect you anyway. So after that, when you try to return and try to come back into your previous positions, we absolutely recommend to do that on the same level that you have. Or sometimes you could increase your main positions and keywords or placements around 10 or maybe 20% up for coming back. But then don't forget to do all new optimization for that, because to go out of stock, that all means in the case of the lost sales, lost revenue, that will cost you some money to come back. That is absolutely will effects of the CPC that you use, and all your previous activities, they could be some kind of destroyed. I mean that if you had some marketing big plans and ideas, some of them could be slowed down, and the amount of sales that you want to get, it could be much less that you are planning to have. So that is important to do, and I really like the idea that try to keep all these activities in the one way, try to plan it,
Uh-huh.
and this like synergy will help you to work.
Yeah, to prevent it. And I think that's, like the one of the questions that has come up, before. What do you do when you do get back in stock? The restocking. It's so there's PPC campaign. Is there a relaunch that you recommend that is done, or is it solely relaunches with PPC, or is there some other tactic that usually is done?
Yeah, I guess like usually what we do when you post all your campaigns, you could just activate them, yeah, without any like big relaunches or remaking them.
Mhm.
Just restart them, and that will be okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we also do recommend is to increase the number of beats for some main keywords or essence that you use for some main campaigns that generate your number of sales.
Yeah.
Because we speak a lot the positions and the other competitors, yeah. And we if we speak about the Amazon and the Amazon PPC, it's all about the limited traffic for some product or for some niche. So that's why it's important to understand how all these algorithms working.
Hmm.
If you like lose some amount of sales in a case of the out of stock, some of your competitors get all these sales. Yeah, and some of your competitors just going up in a case of the amount of like weekly or monthly sales that they get previously. So your competitors is happy when you go
Yeah.
out of stock, yeah, so
Yeah.
they get like more piece of the pie that everyone gets. So
Hmm.
that is for you, that is important to understand how to like come back, yeah, how to come
Yeah.
back into the previous results. And these point that you should absolutely include into your strategy, that if you go out of stock, maybe you're growing, like maybe you had scaled your business, and
Yeah.
maybe next you should increase number of the inventory that you would like to ship, yeah, because
Hmm.
some of the Amazon sellers, they didn't get the things in the right way. They just do the same mistakes like each month or
Yeah.
each 2 months, and I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like please don't do that,
Yeah.
because there is a right way for you to understand that you're on the right way on scaling your business, yeah,
Yeah.
and if you will keep that, you will see that your sales will go up, and you will help all Amazon algorithms to work in the right way on getting you into the higher positions.
Hmm.
You're relevant if you go out of stock, like that is
Yeah.
absolutely okay.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that you said that. It's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine, a couple of years back as I was building out So Stock, and one of the things that he recognized is he said, I started looking at it, and I've been placing the same order and the same frequency for the past year and a half. And he goes, I turned around to, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back after it. I'm going to really, start doing it. He started planning PPC campaigns. Like, I don't have the inventory for this. Like anything he wanted to do, he couldn't afford in inventory because he was so used to placing the same order and over again. So it should be, alarm bells on the marketing side and on the business health side. If you're placing the same order over and over again, or you're placing smaller orders, in the same frequency, that should be a red flag that there's something wrong with that product, or there's something wrong with your business, and you need to your orders should be increasing, just as you said. Otherwise, you're not planning to market and you're not planning to scale.
That is a really cool thing that we do the analysis for our clients, and when we analyze the number of the shipments that they do for some of the products, and we try to like to get some past reports that they get for to build like a year, for example, year to date, graphic of the number of the inventory that they send, and we see that this exact picture.
Mm-hmm.
They every time they send the same amount of the inventory, and all of them they want to scale their sales,
Yeah.
and like how you will do that if you don't have all of these like inventory. And what we do is like to analyze your nearest competitors or the top niche competitors to catch the number of sales that they do each month, yeah, to try to every time increase more and more, because Amazon algorithms working in this way. I mean that don't forget about the geo ranking, because the main idea of the Amazon is to get the product to the final customer in one day. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
if the Amazon will have a limited amount of your products somewhere in the New York, they will not send it somewhere to Florida or something like that. They
Yeah.
will not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you should increase the number of the inventory. You every time should work and to have like this main idea of that. How the Amazon working? How could I help Amazon to deliver my products in the right time
Yep.
and date to the right customer? And here we go, here we got the sales and how to increase that, because
Yeah.
we had a lot of clients that they have, for example, a 200 units, and they just, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. Just increase it in 5 times, try to do that, try to get it 1000, and you will see how the Amazon algorithm will working for you around the all the states that you want to cover.
Yeah, yeah, you got to help Amazon fulfill its promises. That's the biggest concern for Amazon is, to fulfill their promises. When you start thinking about the algorithms, and you have to think from a perspective of what does Amazon want? What are they trying to do for Amazon? And it's, deliver on that 2-day prime or that 1-day prime for certain products, deliver that, make it easy for, they promise that it's going to be an easy sales process. They don't promise that your product is good, but the reviews will help with that. But there's just specific things. And then the other thing is that Amazon wants you to move your inventory. They don't like to see inventory sitting there. And that's why we're seeing the policy changes that we're seeing with the storage types and the limits. They don't want to be a storage facility. They don't want to keep inventory that's not moving. They want to be a distribution center. And so that's why they're focusing on turnover as one of the most important metrics, because it's just getting too much for them and too big. And the reason that they can't check your inventory in is because they don't have enough space. So that's, apparently why they've made some of these changes based on some of the stuff that we've read from Amazon and how what they're talking about and why they say they're doing these things.
Yeah. And you have mentioned the things with the reports and data. Could you please tell me more about the reports that you check? Yeah, I mean, where you on what data you keep an eye? If you do the analysis, and maybe some reports that you would like to recommend.
Yeah. So mostly, it's funny because some reps don't know exactly what's going on. Like we have a rep for the development side, and he's just a liaison. Like we were telling him about the storage type limit change, and he hadn't heard of it. So sometimes they're so segmented that they don't know what's going on. Sometimes you'll get someone, who really does. But, for the most part, it's our team really reviews the forums. So everything that Amazon puts out as an announcement, Amazon has announcements. They do have a specific kind of bulletin board inside of Seller Central that is their announcements. And they'll say Amazon announcement, and they'll have a date, and they'll mention something. And we actually do a Friday email where we'll share data about Amazon. Some of it will come from, about the e-commerce industry in general from various outside sources, and then some will come directly from Amazon. And so that's one of the things that we followed. And then there's emails. Sometimes we'll get emails as sellers. Sometimes other people will get emails that we won't necessarily get, but they'll post them on, a community or a Facebook page, and I'll read those. What did Amazon say to this person about their inventory? And so that's where some of these things came from. Is there was a storage limit decrease. There was there was April 22nd, which was the day that they switched to storage type, and then there was May 16th where they lowered, and everyone started, shouting about this. Our limits went down. What's going on? And Amazon actually addressed that in one of the emails, and they said, we're doing that to help to be able to check in your inventory more quickly. And so that was kind of where that came from. So every time I hear something about inventory, we'll read about it. But I would say, following the forums, and then if you are on our email list, we do send those out on Fridays on a weekly basis. Because,
we got it.
Yeah, that's so there's that, and then there's also just looking at the inventory page or whatever part of the platform you're trying to understand, and start hovering over those little info bubbles. Because, for example, turnover. The definition that Amazon has for turnover is very different than we think of turnover being looked at on a 30-day basis. They're looking at turnover on a 90-day basis. So, and so you can actually see when you hover over the bubbles of these different columns, what is their definition, and you're not going to get the full algorithm and the full calculation, because they have other data like last year's Prime Day and other similar products and all of these other things, but it'll give you an idea of what they're looking at, how they're looking at it, and you always have to think of it. It's what they're saying there plus other things they're not telling you.
And if we speak in the case of the reports, and I guess this announcement is like one of the most important things that these teams, like the inventory team, should absolutely announce to the marketing team, yeah, because it's important to have this announcement and our understanding on how we will move forward, like for the next period of time.
Yeah.
Do we have any reports maybe to share?
Yeah. The reports that inventory, I would say, inventory needs to start taking a look at doing a stock out risk report. So, data is very important within your inventory. Stock out risk report would be that you're calculating your forecasting forward, and you're seeing what is the day that I might be running out of stock. Will I potentially run out of stock? And that's one of the things that we do within SoStock, but that I recommend even someone who's just using spreadsheets, create a spreadsheet for this. It could get a little bit complicated, but it's an inventory timeline. And so that's a running tracker of every single day. What inventory do you have, and what inventory, what's going to happen with that based on your current velocity, based on, any sales plans you have, based on the orders that you have being transferred into Amazon, any orders that you have coming from your supplier, and it tracks the entire progress so that you can see if there's a potential risk of a stock out. And so you would send a stock out risk report, and that would have a list of the SKUs that had the risk of potentially stocking out. Because what that can do with a marketer is a marketer can say, okay, these are the SKUs I actually got to slow down a little bit and stop, maybe cut back on some of the ad spend, maybe, even raise the price $1 or so, and could prevent potentially that stock out from happening. There would also be slow sales reports, liquidation reports, overstock reports. So anything that's 60 to 90 days worth of inventory sitting at Amazon, those would be things that should be looked at, because nowadays, as you are probably understanding, marketers now, instead of having the responsibility of increasing sales overall and having the responsibility of trying to avoid the stock out, they have the responsibility of not having too much dead weight. So now you're on both sides of the spectrum. You have to now market across the entire catalog. So, PPC agencies, marketers, they all have to get the data of what is the dead weight that I can actually use to my advantage and use that as an asset to free up more space.
I like that. Because that is the main thing that we right now use and work. I mean that we also provide clients with some ideas from the reports, and we have had a lot of them to our software that help us to control like the situation and to see the final trend on what we accept, like how to prevent some things, or what we're accepting to do, and to have, for example, in different side of the marketing campaigns that we are launch for. But if we speak in the case of the price, I really like the analysis that we do and help Amazon sellers to prevent the stock out, but increase the price too. In the case of that, the Amazon, they really don't like when you decrease the price. They like, I hate them. Like, please use the coupons, please do the lightning deals, but do not decrease the price. Yeah, because the main idea from the Amazon, we just get a lower fee than previously. Why do you do that? Like that's why we had a lot of cases where we help clients to increase their prices on like 10, 20 or 30%, and that is fine on the long term. And these things absolutely help you to like remake your approach that you do previously, yeah, because your like cogs will stay the same level, but your profit could go up, and
Yeah.
here you will have more space for additional inventory. Yeah, here
Uh-huh.
you will have more space to to build like this diversity around the your marketing campaigns,
Mhm.
because now a lot of people, they speak not about like the traffic inside the niche, as I have mentioned previously. They
Yeah.
speak a lot about like the DSP, for example, or the Amazon attribution with non-Amazon traffic. When we
Mhm.
catch the traffic from Google or from somewhere, for sure you should increase the inventory in like 50% if you want to launch such campaigns. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there is something for you that you do not control. There is something for you, something like you, and you couldn't like catch how that influence into your conversion rates, how that influence into the all coupons and the activities in the inside the niche that you had previously.
Mhm.
So we absolutely we want to share as much as needed, like possible informations on what we want to launch and how that will affect the inventory, like some predictions, on the
Mhm.
beginning. But yes, so sometimes we failed if there is something new,
Uh-huh.
but but that help
Yeah.
us to make the right changes and conclusions for the next activities that we would like to launch.
Yeah, that's excellent. So yeah, and I mean, like reports from profit wells. Like, what are those types of reports that would be helpful to an inventory team? Because that's the other side of the coin. Is that the marketing team? It would be great for marketing to get reports from over to inventory. I know that inventory. I've talked to inventory managers, and they almost start laughing when we talk about having to deal with the aftermath of a marketing campaign that goes really well. What are some of those things that the software offers, and that you with your clients personally kind of are able to provide them with?
Yeah, we do the like monthly reports from the all activities that we got for the all the products, and we see the trends according to the like comparing to the previous months that we had in the case of the inventory, and try to build a forecast for the next months. And we try
Uh-huh.
to watch into different indicators: the number of lightning deals, the number of the days with the coupon, the days with or without bestseller tag. We also
Mhm.
want to add according to the price. Do we have any changes around that? If not, if yes, and try to we have like all the things in one place in one report that help us to calculate like the prediction for the next months in the
Mhm.
case of the not like the activities that we would like to launch, but in the case of the inventory that we are planning to have, if
Yeah.
we will have the same situation, yeah, or
Yeah.
better.
The
So
plan, the planning of the scale. So it's like, this is what we did. This is what you were at before. This is how much growth there was, and if you were, what is the trend, into the next month, so that they can be ready for it, basically,
yeah,
right?
right. And that is so important to include the specific activities inside the each month, because these months we will have like the Prime Day, yeah, and
Mhm.
you will see that the everyone should be prepared like right now.
Yeah.
They just waiting for that,
Uh-huh.
and we just add all this data into our reports, and there is something that help us to build it in 1 month and next 3 months here. So if we start working, we will try to build this like model by the end of the year, from year to date. And if you will see that, okay, we will cover all needed activities, and uh, the inventory team, they will know how they should work and what they want to get during the next period of time, and we will believe that everything will work in the right way
Yeah.
with them and with our activities, yeah, according to the some simple metrics and indicators inside
Yeah.
the Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so we have also the question, like, I guess we have answered the question on why do we need to plan the marketing and the inventory. I
Yeah.
guess we we really go through this topic, and we had some really cool things, the questions from our audience that they had prepared when they filled the form.
Mhm.
I would be glad to go through them, and I will ask you first, Chelsea,
Sure.
if you don't mind. Maybe I will something to add, but yeah, I think that here a lot of questions about the yeah, no, there is like 50-50. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's a good balance.
how to never go out of stock? What do you
Mhm.
think about that?
Yeah, how to never go out of stock. I mean, stockouts happen. I think it's the nature of the business, but one of the strategies to kind of try to mitigate it as much as possible, especially because of the long lead times and the cash flow constraints, I would say to adopt kind of a three-tiered storage system. And those three tiers would be, I'm just assuming that this would be someone coming from China. There's a lot of people who import from China. We'll just use China as an example. Could be other places abroad, but the three tiers would be, obviously FBA is holding some of your inventory and there's restrictions there. Then you have your local storage facility, your local 3PL. And then the third one that a lot of people don't have working for them right now would be their supplier's warehouse. Suppliers will often, especially if you have a good relationship with them, they will often hold your inventory for up to 3 months without charging you any storage fees. That is something that you should definitely take advantage of, especially as you're going to have to store more and more at your local warehouse instead, based on some of these limits. So the things that will be able to help you control more, I would say if you've got that system going, you should start considering that you are always either transferring something or placing a reorder. And so let's say, you've got cash flow issues. How are you going to, if you want to, I would say produce a bunch of inventory, store some of it in your Chinese warehouse. Let's say you produce 3 months or 4 months worth of inventory. You might be able to send the first month to your local warehouse, and then, piece by piece, send it in smaller orders as Amazon will allow you. And then you've got all this inventory sitting for the next 2 months at your Chinese warehouse. When you're starting to move some of that inventory from your Chinese warehouse, start another bunch of production inside of your factory. The thing that will happen is that you think that cash flow issues will become a problem. If often when you're sending shipments from your supplier, they'll only charge you to pay the remaining balance on the stuff that you're sending. So you can say place an order for 3 months worth of inventory and pay them the deposit, say 30% down, and then ship the first month's worth of inventory, pay on the 70% on that month's worth of inventory, and then each month you're only paying for the remaining balance for the inventory that you're sending. They'll get a more steady flow of inventory of cash into their business. You'll be able to control some of that cash flow as well. And so that's what people are nervous about. They don't place big orders because they think they're going to have to store it, and that's going to cost money, and they think they're going to have to pay for it all once it's done being produced. So if you have a good relationship with your supplier, that would be a much better way to balance that out. And then as you're sending some of that last Chinese inventory, you get another order being produced immediately.
Chelsea, I guess you had answered also the next question as our how do you plan the PPC or the inventory around current delays with the production and shipping from the China?
Yeah.
I think that you also covered like the things in the case of the shipment.
I think that would cover it, and then from the PPC perspective, that would obviously be a question for you.
Yeah, I guess in the case of the PPC, everything is so easy when you have some delays, for example, or the out of stock things, because try to just slow down all your campaigns and try to decrease the budget that you use for the advertising for you. That will be the best way to keep all things slowed down. Don't forget that your competitors will get this traffic, and you need to come back. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to return all your budgets, all your CPC, and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So like keep an eye on that, and don't
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah. Oh, there was
Uh,
one other thing that I wanted to mention on that, the delays. We know that there's been delays. So one of the things is to lengthen out your lead times and expect that your lead times are going to be much longer. Stay in communication with your suppliers and your freight forwarders to figure out what are the current time frames. Do I need to, have 45 instead of 30 days? Do I need 60 days instead of 30? And then, so increasing your lead times, and then increasing your buffer stock, having more buffer stock available, whether that's in China or in a third-party warehouse. But those are the two things that immediately, once COVID hit, people were starting to do. We have tools for lead time and tools for buffer stock. They started lengthening them out. So that's what I would say is, lengthen those out until you start actually seeing them get better, and then you can start shortening them to being normal again.
Great. And the next question is, how accurate is your inventory forecasting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as accurate as the data that you put into it. It's really, it's taking real-time data from Amazon, right, from your API, and it's letting you tell us what your marketing plans are. So it's accurate in that it's taking all of your data, and it's completely accurate in that we actually adjusted the time zones. There's a discrepancy in what Amazon reports on their Seller Central and what they report in their reports. There's actually a discrepancy, and we found out that it was because of a time zone change. So there's a 7, depending on on daylight savings time, there's a 7 to 8 hour difference between what Amazon says in Seller Central and what they say in the reports to the API. They're not matching, so we figured out how to match them. But in general, it's going to be accurate based on your past history. It's going to look at your past history, and then you're going to be able to put in your marketing data. So that's where you have to know what your plans are and add your marketing plans in. So I would say, in terms of accuracy, it's as accurate with your data, and then, it can be even more accurate with the information that you add to it.
Yeah, and we also have a delay from the Amazon site, and that is absolutely like okay, because the Amazon provide us with the around like 14 days. We have cache according to our software, but still that is much better than if you do not like have no forecast, if you do not see like nothing. So we absolutely recommend to do that. And if you like spend time on checking the data, these softwares will be for you much better than just reports, because the
Yeah.
reports will fetch the without these updates. But thanks God we have these like API connection that help us to
Yeah.
to update all these things in the right way. So
Mhm.
perfect. Um, Great. I guess we will go to another question that is for me. The advanced PPC strategies. Uh-huh. Okay.
That's unpacking a whole other.
Yeah, it's a difficult question in the case of like based on what do you have now, because some people they do not launch all needed campaigns as the like sponsor brands, for example, or sponsor display, and for them that could be a this advanced PPC strategy. But maybe if to answer this question correctly, I will speak all new feature that Amazon provided us with, as the Amazon attribution with the non-Amazon traffic, when you will have a chance to transfer traffic from the Google, Facebook to the Amazon, and you should like you should work correctly with the traffic that you're sending, because that will absolutely affect into your conversion rates, and that could like destroy and affect to all your results that you like have right now. So
Yeah.
like be careful with that. And if we speak the DSP, of course, that is the next level of the things that you could do inside the Amazon. And now it's like more available for other sellers, and we have a lot of tools that right now provide that we also could do. And you will have a chance to find new placements where you will be, and where you will spend like some like test budgets to see if that will work for you or not. And I guess like the big thing that we do now is to catch the sales share that you have on Amazon, based according to your competitors. Try to analyze this niche and to launch a part of the campaigns that could help you to increase the sales share. Sometimes you will invest more into the Amazon inside the sponsor brands campaign, sponsor display. You will every time expand them. You will do a lot of tests with the video, with the banners, with the all creative that you're using, and we absolutely focusing on that for the big clients, because they do want like just be on the same level. They every time want to grab more and more and more, and to be like the best inside the niche. So we, for 100%, we recommend them to try that, and to build this like ecosystem from the all campaigns that you're using, that you're launching, and to build them moving in the right way. So I guess that will be absolutely the best thing. And if you will do that, you will work as the profit bills. And I guess, yeah, that is some kind of like the advance.
Yeah, and I think that the benefit, I always find, crowdsourcing information is one of the most valuable things. And so someone who has been working inside of the PPC space like you guys have for so long has been able to try so many different types of advertising, and has gathered so much data from working directly. It's not that, you've got a lot of people who have just worked on their own brand, and that kind of niches them down because it's one type in one category, and maybe they haven't tried all the different types of ads. But to have that kind of different exposure allows you to be able to say, this type of ad is really working right now, that type of ad will work if you do this type of advertising, but it won't work because someone will try something and say, oh, it didn't work for me, because they, for example, Google and Facebook, they're very different platforms, and they're not coming to Amazon to look for something. It's interruption marketing, so, or it's research marketing. Google is a research platform. Facebook is, not a buying platform, and then that's interruption marketing versus, this buyer intent Amazon platform. So I can see why there's a different spin. So I really appreciate kind of you bringing that into light. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And the next question that we have, is it possible to watch this webinar later on? No, but yes, we will record that, and we will put it into our social media, and I guess we will be glad to repeat that with some additional questions if you will have. And of course, maybe we'll also add it to our YouTube channel. So no worries, we will share all the info, and if you log in and fill the form, we'll also send all these reports to you, and you will have a chance to watch it. And the next question, I have a very heavy spring and Christmas sales. I'm wondering if I can order 2x per year, or other ways to convert, to trying to consider shipments for my peak season, and not worry about going out of stock. So big question. Okay.
Yeah. I would
Chelsea?
say, I would say the best way to do it is that 3-tiered structure. If you can get your supplier to kind of shoulder some of that burden in terms of, the cash flow and splitting up your payments based on your shipments, as well as not charging you for storage or charging you less than what you would be charged in your local 3PL. Though that would be the best way to do that, because you can waste a lot of money in overstocking. And I have, one of our sell stock users is an aggregator, and one of the things that they brought up is that the first thing they look at stock outs, and they look at overstock. They also look at, can they reprice the products and get a discount and save on sourcing costs, but they also look at inventory. And at one point they closed on an account. They actually purchased a company that had $15,000 in overstock fees that weren't necessary. So they knew right off the bat that at a 3x multiple, they were saving $45,000. So that's the
Yeah,
thing that I
yeah.
would watch out for, is if you can mitigate those storage fees and you can control that cash flow, most definitely. But you have to just be creative about it.
And I like the idea you also have mentioned in the case of like the buffer stock that you could have.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that for the peak season and the all big activities that you would like them to have to that will help you to keep all these marketing activities
Yeah.
if needed. Yeah, if needed, because not every time we could use that. And for you, some people will like tell that maybe I don't like need additional stock. Why I should pay for that? But you don't know how the advertising campaigns on the peak could work. Yeah, maybe you will keep the bestseller, you will increase your sales, and here it is. Of course, you will have a chance to come back,
Yeah.
but still, like, don't forget that you will have a chance to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. The next question is: can we gain visibility of PPC sales on so stocked?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. Right now, that is not possible. That is definitely something that we plan to add. Probably when we add our cash flow piece, we're going to be adding a cash flow modeling portion, and of course, we'll need to know, what portion of those are PPC sales. What is the PPC cost? So that's something that we will start to probably factor in into the future. I wouldn't say too far into the future, but end of the year, sometime next year would be probably where we would start working that in. But it's definitely a part of the cash flow modeling that we'll be creating and then adding more complexity to.
That is great because we got a lot of opportunities right now from the Amazon side in case of the API,
Yeah.
and everything become like easier to do. And we just cross fingers that everything will be fine, and you will have a chance to like finalize, to add all the things to your analytic dashboard that you have right now. I
Uh-huh.
really like the all the design that you are using. It's so similar to the like in colors to us, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really glad for that.
Yeah.
Great. And the last question for today: how to create a joint marketing and inventory plan to scale the business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it starts with marketing. So we actually have a template. We have a template and we have a checklist, and that's one of the things that anyone who signs up on the form will get access to how to get that. But it's making that marketing plan, passing it over to the inventory, and then the inventory, like we were talking about, the different reports. It's having some sort of a template that someone your team could then fill out, and then the data that you would like to have on the inventory side of things, and even the cash flow. I mean, I don't know if your clients are giving you cash flow information necessarily, but that's something to businesses should also keep in mind, is what is the cash flow? Where am I going to need funding or that type of thing?
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you because I think that our main idea of this webinar is to show, how the inventory team and marketing team they could collaborate together. In the case of the reports, the ideas, the plans, coupons, and all the things, and it's so cool when you have a chance to do that in the way to like to scale the business. Yeah, I mean that all your activities that you right now performing on the Amazon. Try
Yeah.
to, for example, to make the audit of your previous half in the year, to catch the shipments that you have done, to catch like everything that you do, the price. Try to like the bird eye on that. Yeah, try to catch that, like the helicopter view on your business in the case of the marketing campaigns and the inventory. That how do you work with that will be a good answer for your next strategies that you will have to organize and to do, and you will see what exactly space you should fill in to move forward and to grow your business correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I like to say that it's really and I think, and as we're having these conversations, it's funny how similar your processes and the inventory processes are. They actually tend to work together, but there's the science of past data and the art of future planning, and that's really what you need in inventory. And it sounds like that's also what you need for a good marketing plan.
Yeah, Absolutely, Chelsea. And I think that was awesome, the format and the webinar that we had got. And thank you everyone for that. Thank you, Chelsea, for joining us today. And I really like the conversation that we had. Maybe I will also, I will rewatch it today in the case of all your advices, because it's so cool when you have a chance to know what exactly should be improved, like, because right now is the best time to do that. Right now is the best time to remake your marketing campaigns and the inventory plans, your shipments, your price, like everything is okay to do. And yeah, I'm sure that this webinar will help you to do that.
Yep, yep. I totally agree, especially as we come into planning for the fourth quarter, which people are actually needing to do right now. So yeah, definitely plan with your inventory and your marketing in mind. I really appreciate, you helping to put this together. I think it's valuable to a lot of different people and a lot of insights that I personally got from you and seeing how similar our processes are too.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your insights in the case of the list that all people will get on how to synchronize all these teams. And yeah, see you on the next webinars.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See ya.